Now I want to talk to you about the most important part of the English language itself. And it's not grammar, not vocabulary, it's not even speaking like some of you may think. No, it's pronunciation. Pronunciation is the most important part of English language because, or any language for that matter, because it's the soul of the language. Like, you have grammar as a skeleton and vocabulary as the flesh, the muscles. And grammar, without vocabulary, without the pronunciation, all this stuff, it's just a body, dead body. It's like a zombie. And every language has a soul, has a certain spirit, and it's expressed in the sound that it creates. That's why we like some languages and we don't like others, because some sound nice and some sound good, and some sound bad. And you can sometimes understand what language the person is speaking without hearing any words, because you just hear the sound. Or and you know, okay, it's somewhere like, okay, it's Spanish, or oh yeah, it's Italian, or it's French, but you did not hear the word. So pronunciation is something that we, I don't know, pay attention to, that we notice, and we really like good sound because we all like music. Another thing, well, pronunciation is something that can help you. Look, if you just say hi, nice to meet you, and you'll say it in this way, the person can just instantaneously say, oh, good English. Nice English, I like it. But you didn't say anything, you didn't use any words or grammar, you just said, hi, nice to meet you. And you sounded good. And the person will like you more because you sound good. Because, pronunciation is like the clothes you're wearing. And if you're wearing nice clothes, it's nice to look at you, it's nice to be with you, to work with you, because you look good, you sound good. And if you know a lot of grammar and you know a lot of words, and you speak, but you make pronunciation mistakes, your grammar knowledge will not help you. You understand? Yeah? I mean, it will not be clear what you're talking about, because it's just you messed it up in your sound. And the problem in English is, with English, is that you have similar sounds. Like in Russian, we have one a sound or one a sound, and in English you have two a sounds, like a sound and e sound. And you have to speak showing the difference in these two sounds. So, like, pronunciation is big, it's important, and it's practical. It's practical. It's about making an impression, and it's about being clear. And there are all sorts of accents in the English-speaking world, like American accent. But again, there are so many dialects in the American accent, and people in America speak English in different ways. But I myself like American, but I do have some British sounds, like in my speech as I speak. But I can also speak a little bit of British. It's more challenging for me, I would say. But I think I like British accent just as much as I like American. But I'm more used to speaking American English, but I don't know, just like it more. But I'm not going to teach you or trying to make you speak this or that accent. My main goal will be to make sure you are understood. So we'll be trying to achieve clarity in your speech. Clarity above all. It's number one. And second thing, because you have to listen to all kinds of people with all kinds of accents, and you want to understand them better, and you can learn to understand them better if you know why they speak like that, or why they sound like that. So how do they pronounce certain things? So I'm going to tell you that, I'm going to explain, I'm going to teach that. And the focus will be American accent, American pronunciation. I'll be teaching you about that. Not because I want you to necessarily start speaking like an American, but this is not a bad thing to do, no. It's not bad, but because I want you to be more aware of how they speak so that you can understand them better. But again, if you take some of these features and use them in your speech, well, that'll be awesome. That'll be great, because again, you'll be, well, people will like you more. And one more thing I wanted to say, the bad thing about this pronunciation work is that it's very, very hard to achieve any serious progress. I mean, in order to make it automatic, you need to spend months and years learning it, you know, and or practicing it, and it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard, but it's super important. I hope I have made myself clear. It's super important, and I hope you believe me, and I hope you'll be doing this work with me. And now I want to say about the 1, 2, 3, 5 most important parts of English pronunciation that I want you to focus on when imitating, when you're learning something, when you're reading something or watching or listening to something, and you want to say that aloud. Like, make sure these 5 things are there. Thing number 1, and it's the beginning of English pronunciation, American version. I call it inside sound. Inside sound means that the sound that you produce goes upwards and it kind of stays in your head. So when you're speaking English, you just make sure that the sound goes up and you're kind of, you know what I mean. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I believe that you've heard this sound like many times. You're familiar with it. Americans speak using that sound. That's what makes them different from the rest of the world, because they speak with that sound. Wow, that's how they speak. Wow, wow, wow. And Russian is actually very different, you know. When you're speaking Russian, what you do is you make sure the sound that you make goes out of your mouth. It's kind of horizontal sound. Yeah, everything is clear, right? And it goes out of your mouth and kind of falls flat on the floor. You know, like if you want to speak American, you need to make sure that the sound that you make, it goes up and stays in your head, and and this is the beginning, the foundation of English sound. That's how. And I will give you some practice on that. I want you to say and read English and read our text that we'll be working with. And this is the beginning. By the way, British pronunciation also have this inside sound, also, only it's kind of closer to your throat. On you speak more like, somewhere here. Whatever, I'm not going to be teaching that. So, this is the beginning. Can you say that? Right, good. Point number 2, and again, there'll be a special video and audio later. For me, second thing is separate sounds. The way you pronounce separate sounds is different, Russian and English. So you have to learn to say like or or different sounds that did not exist in Russian language. But now I want to say that. Oh my God! What do I want to? I want to just give you certain examples of the things that you're gonna hear from me as I read, but we're not gonna be practicing them separately. Like, for example, like an American accent, you don't say party. I mean, very often people don't say party. Yes, right? They say party. Or they don't say I'm sitting, they say I'm sitting. Sitting at a party. This will be a correct way of saying things in American English. And the rule here is that if you have 2 vowels, glasny, and between them you have the letter T, you don't read it as T, you read it as R. So you have party, ari, ar. And that's something that I want you to just remember. And as we practice, as we do certain things, like I want you to repeat after me, trying to sound like I do. Okay? If it's difficult, that's fine, it's okay, but at least try. Another thing I want to say is that when you have this nt, two letters, n and t together, you pronounce them n rather than nt. So you don't say I want it, you say I want it. You don't say 20, you say 20, 21. I want it 21. I want it 21. That's the way I speak, that's the way you're gonna hear things from me as we do different texts and dialects and vocabulary. One more thing, very important sound. We'll be practicing it later. It's n that you say in your throat. And of course the popular sounds th and the. Well, I mean, these sounds are not, they don't have any particular specific peculiar way of pronunciation. In American, pretty much the same, but I want you to know that. Americans don't usually say do, they say do, like during rather than during. A little detail from me there. They like to say p, k, rather than p, so they say park rather than park, car rather than ka. And they also like to say things like or, are, ear, or here, or her. Like when you have a letter R that you don't read, that is silent, you kind of pronounce it when you say things like party, Parker, or car, right? So you're gonna hear it from me, so try to repeat that, try to imitate that. Please never say like this sound does not exist in English language. Say don't say hi, say hi, hi, hi. So it's also important. These are separate sounds, just a few. We're gonna be dealing with more. But as you practice, pay attention not only to the inside sound, but also to the way you pronounce certain separate sounds. That's number 2. And number 3. Point number 3, it's very important, and the rule here, it's called linking, and it's called so because you link words together, you put words together, and like the whole sentence becomes one big word. And the rule here is you do not, you put the end of the word at the beginning of the next one, or you start reading the word from the end of the previous one. So you don't say red apples, that's kind of wrong, and many people pretty much, everyone, of course, everybody says red apples. Red apples rather than red apples. That's just normal, that's just natural to speak like that, to like one of those people rather than one of those people. One of those days. One of those days. That's linking. So what happens is I start reading the word, I make the word long, and I do not finish it. I finish it and start the next one at the same time. One of those days. That's a correct way to say that. And that's linking. We'll be practicing it. Please pay attention and try to sound like that. And that's how they speak. And if you understand the principle, you'll be hearing a lot of this linking stuff as you watch videos. And they don't do it all the time, but like so freaking often. They do it often, really a lot, and so I hope you will like it. Point number 4, it's stress. Udarение. So the rule here is that if something is important for you in a sentence, it's logically important, and has a meaning, certain meaning, you stress it, and you leave everything else unstressed. So you don't say, then suddenly he stopped and looked at his host. Or then suddenly he stopped and looked at his host. Like that's a very unnatural way of saying things in English because you stress everything. When Americans listen to that kind of speech, they're a little bit shocked. Like they don't know what to pay attention to. They don't understand what is more important. So like everything is important. Like to them, it sounds like why are you shouting? Like why do you stress every word? It's not meant to be like that. You have to stress certain words that are important and leave everything else unstressed. So you say, then suddenly he stopped and looked at his host. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. So you speak in that way. So you stress certain things. And sometimes when you stress, you actually make them longer. And that's very important to make certain words longer, the ones that you stress. And the ones that you don't stress, well, there you leave them as they are, and you don't stress them, you say them very quickly. And the difference between this stress and unstress is very big in English, and you speak in a little bit different way in English than you do in Russian. So, and when you stress, it's you who chooses which words to stress. I mean, there's no rule for what to stress. Like we have a text that we'll be working with, and certain words are stressed there, but not like I stress them because that's how I see that, right? But you can change the stress and it'll still be okay. So it's up to you to put the stress here or there. It's your choice. What is important is that if you stress it stress it a lot. And if you don't stress it, well, you just say it very, very quickly. Very, very, very quickly. So sentence, a long sentence, for example, that has 15 words. It's a cluster. So we have one sentence, 15 words, and it has 3 clusters. One stress, and one stress. And together with, in a phrase that has one stress in it, you have all the words that are not stressed set together with the word that is stressed as one cluster. What I want to talk about today, it's one cluster. And you say everything like one word. What I want to talk about and what I want to talk about today, or what I want to talk about today, it's like one word with one cluster, like it's one cluster where there's one stress, and everything else that is not stressed is kind of linked to the word with the stress. And you say these things together. So you go from phrase to phrase within a sentence. And the stress is the center of the phrase, the center of this cluster. Oh, I hope you understood me. If not, you can ask me questions. But again, the practice materials will come and you will have a chance to see how it works. But the most important thing is to stress, make it longer, and leave everything else unstressed. And the last thing number 5, it's intonation. And intonation, it's about your voice that goes up and down. And it's about emotion. And again, it's up to you to decide whether you want to be emotional or you don't want to be emotional. Right? It's your choice. And it's absolutely up to you. So, intonation is your ability to send your voice up high. Or send it down. I want to talk about it. I want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that. So it's this freedom of expressing your emotions in this or that way, and by just sending your voice there or there. And that's intonation, and it's there, and sometimes we'll be practicing it. Not this year, not this lesson. And this lesson we'll be practicing separate sounds, inside sound, stress, and linking. And please, do a good job. Pay attention to how I say it, and pay attention to the way you say certain things from the point of view of inside sound, or the linking that you make, and the stress that you put there, and the separate sounds that you like. All these aspects are important. Please make sure you understand this, remember it, and when you practice, pay attention to that. Okay, I hope you've understood me, and I've said so many things several times. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Have fun.